Hi there. Welcome to another virtual encounter here at the Memphis Zoo with your lovely host, Max. Today I have my good friend, Gazapacho. But first I'd like to address some of the news that you probably heard about how some mammals can contract the coronavirus. Here at the Memphis Zoo, we follow all of our CDC guidelines for how to safely interact with other people and primates to avoid them getting infected. But in light of recent news, we have changed our protocols a bit. We've also like to remind people that if you have any pets at home, make sure that you keep them over 6 feet away from other animals and people whenever you take them outside. For this presentation in particular, the animal I brought today is not a mammal, so we're not as worried about them contracting the virus. And my lovely co-host Whitney is wearing a face mask and is over 10 feet away from me, so I think it is safe for me to take off my mask now with these gloves, which can be a little bit awkward. Hold on. Oh, there we go. So much better. Whew. All right, folks, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. I'm here with Gazapacho the Tiger Centipede. Tiger centipedes are also commonly known as the common desert centipede. You can find them living in the southwest region of the United States, from California all the way to Louisiana and down into northern Mexico. Here, Gazapacho is in the corner, just kind of hanging out at the moment. Gazapacho, we actually are not sure how old he is because he was confiscated from someone who illegally had him as a pet. So he's been at the zoo for about 2 years now, and tiger centipedes, or common desert centipedes, can live up to sometimes over 5 years. We actually don't know too much about their lifestyle out in their natural habitat because they tend to be nocturnal. They can get dried out really easily by the sun when they're in their natural habitat, so they spend most of the time during the day underneath logs or rocks or underground and tend to come out at night, which is when they hunt. Now, centipedes are carnivorous, which means that they do eat other arthropods or invertebrates. Gazapacho here loves to eat crickets here at the Memphis Zoo, and you probably can't tell right now because he's sleeping, but they are very, very fast, which is helpful when they have to hunt down something to eat, and generally most species of centipedes do have some venom. They actually have special pincers, just like that, called Millipedes, in the front of their head, which they can use to inject the venom when they find something they want to eat. Now, centipedes can bite, and if for whatever reason a centipede bit you, it would hurt and feel a lot like a bee sting, but it is not ever lethal. So if you did have an allergy to it, then you may want to see a doctor, but centipede bites, while they do hurt, are not actually lethal. And centipedes are actually great for the environment because they love to burrow under the ground, which means they aerate that soil, makes it nice and healthy and easy to grow plants. And they're also great for pest control since they eat so many other smaller bugs. All right, folks, so that's our little intro for Gazapacho the Tiger Centipede. Let's turn it over to the questions and see what you'd like to know about our good friend, Gazapacho.
Well, of course, as always, we're starting with the hellos and highs. We've got Teresa from Gloucestershire, UK.
Hey, Teresa.
We've got regulars. Stacy and her daughter Lily, age 11, are here watching.
Hello.
And can't forget, Elizabeth wants to say, I want to see something cute and cuddly.
You're saying Gazapacho is not cute and cuddly? Look at all those tiny little legs.
I guess not.
They're adorable.
But regular Lily Grace, age 8, is here watching, and she'd like to know, how many legs does he have?
Oh, that is a great question, Lily. So the word centa in the word centipedes actually means 100, but very few species of centipedes actually have 100 legs. So it's a little bit misleading. Gazapacho here has roughly around 40 legs. So centipedes, unlike the closely related millipedes, have 2 legs per body segment, whereas millipedes can have 4 legs per body segment. And as they get older, they continue to molt and grow more body segments, so they get larger and larger, and will have different amount of legs at different stages in their life.
So how long can he get?
So the common desert centipede or the tiger centipede can usually get over between 4 and 5 inches, sometimes over 5 inches. There's some larger species of centipedes that can get 6 inches. I think the largest species can get up to a foot, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's funny, you and I were talking about this earlier. Duncan, age 9, wants to know, how fast is he?
Oh, he is very, very quick. Centipedes have to be fast because they are predators, which means they have to hunt their food. And if they want to catch something to eat, like, say, for example, a cricket, they have to be quick enough to surprise it and then grab it and bite into it with its little pinchers on the front of its head.
So you said he just eats bugs, or does he eat a little bit of everything?
So they predominantly eat bugs, but they will also eat other small animals that they can find and catch. Sometimes really small reptiles and small mammals as well. Generally bugs, though.
Okay. Well, we've got Melinda here. She wants to know, do they come out during the day or nighttime?
Hey, Melinda. So most species of centipedes are nocturnal, which means they only come out at night. The tiger centipede here, just like Gazpacho, is also nocturnal. Living in really warm environments, they can get dried out really easily. So during the day, they'll spend most of it underneath some rocks or maybe some logs or in a hole where it's nice and shady. And then at night, when it's cooler, they will come out to hunt.
We have Cash and Ella all the way from Pensacola, Florida, and they want to know, where can they live?
So they live in really warm environments throughout the southwest United States. So from California all the way to Louisiana and down into northern Mexico. And centipedes are actually kind of cool because there's over 3,500 species of them, and they live almost all over the planet.
Now, are all centipedes going to be the same way, where they want to dig under the ground and...
So they do have some different lifestyles, but they are all carnivorous. And some don't dig as much as our good friend Gazpacho here. As you can see in his little habitat, he has plenty of dirt to go digging in because it's fun for him, and it also allows him to feel nice and safe if he ever gets scared.
All right. Well, Rowan, age 3, would like to know if they come in other colors.
They do. So the scientific name includes polymorpha, which means many different forms or variations. So the tiger centipede or the common desert centipede can have a lot of different colors to it.
Well, we've got some regulars here, Caitlin and Ian. And they are, of course, pointing out, what's with the heart and flower on the side of the box?
That is just some decorations we like to put on there. Gazpacho is quite the interior designer, and we like to add a little bit of flair out there.
All right, way to go, Gazpacho. Andrea, are centipedes the same as millipedes, and are either poisonous?
Good question. So they are actually different. Centipedes are the ones that are venomous, because venom is something that is injected, where poison is something that is ingested or swallowed. And millipedes actually like to eat decaying plant material, so they don't need any venom. One of the easiest ways to spot a difference between millipedes and centipedes is that centipedes are going to have less legs. Their bodies tend to be flatter. And millipedes tend to be a lot more rounded and have a lot more legs. Centipedes also generally tend to be really fast and quick, where millipedes are much more slow-moving.
Well, we have Lucy, age 8, on YouTube, asking, how many centipedes do we have?
So I'm not actually sure how many we have at the zoo. I believe we do have some other species of centipede over in our herpetarium. In our ambassador animal collection, this is the only centipede that we have. We also have one millipede.
Okay. Oh, you'll like this one too. Got another Lucy, age 8. Y'all didn't see this, but while setting up this camera, Max put a little joke on me. And she wants to know, can they jump? And if so, how far?
So I did just mess with Whitney for a second. It said, be careful, because Gazpacho can jump really high, and his favorite food is fear. But I'm totally kidding. That is not actually the case. They cannot jump, and they prefer to stay on the ground, because having so many legs, they like to be able to have each of them on a stable area. And it's also easier being on the ground for them to burrow under something if it gets too hot out, or if they need to find somewhere safe.
Now, we are getting a question from Caden, age 5. Do you know how currently big Gazpacho is?
So I believe Gazpacho is roughly 5 inches now. So we believe that he is fully grown, so fully mature. And unfortunately, we do not know how old he was because he came to us when he was confiscated, when someone had him illegally as a pet. So hopefully he has a few more years with us, and we will see if he gets any bigger. He has not done so since I have been here in the last year or so.
We got a jokester here from Rachel. Where did he go to interior design school?
Centipede Interior Design School, also called CID. It's one of the most infamous centipede interior design schools in the nation. Where is it? It's a secret. That's partially why it is so tough to get into.
That makes sense. And what a great question, Rachel. Let's see. I think we've already answered this, but let's go and hit it again. Caleb, age 9, asked how many different species of centipede are there in the world?
So to our knowledge, there are over 3,500 species of centipede all over the planet, and they live in lots of different areas. There's actually some centipedes that live as far up as the northern Arctic Circle.
Mateo, age 2, wants to know where do they eat, or what do they eat? Sorry about that. And, oh no, where? Where do they eat and what?
Where do they eat? Honestly, wherever they can find some food and eat it safely. And they love to eat smaller invertebrates. So here at the zoo, Gazapacho loves to eat crickets.
Okay. I think Tucker age 6 is trying to ask, what's a herpetarium, the place of other centipedes?
The herpetarium is actually where we have all of our reptiles, but we also have some invertebrates over there as well.
All right. And Caitlin and Ian back again. They're our regulars on this show. And they want to know, can Gazapacho climb things?
So he can climb things, but not very well. As you can see with this smooth plastic surface here on the side, he can't really climb up that because he has nowhere to dig his feet into. But having such a long body and so many legs, he can get surprisingly pretty high climbing up stuff.
Looks like Matthew, age 5, wants to know, do you know how many legs Gazapacho actually has currently?
I believe he has about 40 legs now.
Yeah,
last time I counted.
I thought I heard you counting earlier. And Juan, age 6, wants to know, where can they be found in the wild?
So centipedes can be found all over the planet because there's so many different kinds, but the common desert centipede, or the tiger centipede, which is what Gazapacho is, can be found living throughout the southern United States. So from California all the way over to Louisiana and down into northern Mexico. Not too far up into the country, though, because they like to stay in warmer areas.
Now, you did say earlier that we got him because he was confiscated from someone illegally owning him. Can you not keep a centipede as a pet?
You can keep centipedes as pets, but sometimes people will get them from illegal places. And just like many, many other animals and invertebrates out there, they can be a victim of the legal wildlife trade, which is when people illegally go out and they will take animals from the wild and then just sell it as a pet.
Oh, goodness. Is there an easy way to check that out? I guess do some research before you buy any really cool pets?
Yeah, do some research whenever you're buying any kind of a pet from someone, just to see if they have any references or resources as to where the animals came from. Make sure they can provide that information as well. So just do your research, be careful.
All right. Well, Lori would like to know, how long do centipedes typically live?
So these guys can usually live a little bit over 5 years. I would say usually between 4 and 5 years. In their natural habitat, we actually don't know because they're so hard to keep track of, because they're nocturnal and they like to spend a lot of their time underground.
And, all right. Turn that back on for us.
Yeah.
And while we're doing that, we do have another question here from Miranda, age 9. How do they have babies?
That's a good question. Thank you, Miranda. So when they have babies, the female will actually lay eggs, and she'll find somewhere underground a little burrow that she will make, and she'll lay the eggs in there and then circle around it. And she circles around it to protect them from any kind of predators, also from, say, fungus getting on them, which can be a huge danger to them. And she will wait for those eggs to hatch, and when they do, the little ones will go off on their own, and she will do the same.
Okay. And Marley, age 5, wants to know if he is slimy or sticky.
He is not slimy or sticky. I would say he's very, very smooth, because being an invertebrate, his skeleton is actually called an exoskeleton because it is on the outside of his body. So it acts kind of like armor to help protect him. and he doesn't need to be super slimy to help him live at all. And also one other thing I'd like to point out, which I did not mention before, is right up here is Gazapacho's head, which is where he has those maxillipedes, those tiny little pinchers, and back here is actually his legs, or his pseudo head, or his behind. This is his true head, and this is his pseudo head. You may notice that he has these elongated legs right here on his pseudo head, and they believe that is actually to help fool predators. Because being a much smaller, excuse me, bud, I'm going to get some of this dust out of your way. Being a much smaller animal, there are a lot of predators, which includes birds, some mammals, some reptiles will even eat them. And they believe by having these long legs in the back, it resembles the antennae that they have in the front of their head. And it tricks predators into thinking that when they're coming up from behind them, that they're actually facing their head.
All right, well, we want to know from Sidley, age 7, does he sleep a lot?
He does love to sleep, especially during the day. Just like ones in the wild, they tend to be a lot more active in the evening time. But for him, that's just his behavior. It's not something he does for survival, because we keep him in an area that is temperature controlled, so he doesn't have to worry about drying out. But we make sure it's always nice and warm for him, and that he has plenty of humidity in there, which helps him when he wants to molt.
Now, that's a kind of good leeway into, aside from that, he may be trying to sleep because it is the daytime for him, or his version of night. But a lot of people are asking why isn't moving, and I've always been told that animals don't want to move unless they have to, unless there's like some food in front. Is he kind of similar to that?
Yeah, so we don't want to really move him around because it may stress him out. I was clearing some of that dirt and stuff out of the way. Looks like he is currently sleeping now, which is funny because he was running around earlier, but I guess he tuckered himself out. But again, we like to give them choice and control. So if he decides he wants to hang out there in the corner, we're going to let him do so.
That's such a great way of training here. It's all positive reinforcement, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, to get our animals to engage with us, we like to give them something that they really enjoy. Oftentimes that is like a special kind of a treat. And if they decide to interact with us or do some training, then they can get those lovely treats. And that way we don't force them to do anything or make them do something that is unpleasant for them that can stress them out.
Well, we definitely like hearing that. Juan, age 6, wants to know, what kind of predators does he have?
So there are actually a lot of different animals that will eat a centipede. Most often it's birds, sometimes smaller mammals like, say, mice or rats will eat them. Sometimes coyotes, and oftentimes snakes or lizards will also eat centipedes.
Now, Johanna, we do see your comment here about watching live videos later. Guys, you can watch these live videos later. They are saved as posts. Sometimes Facebook gets a little weird depending on where you're looking at, but if you go to our regular posts and videos, it is there. It's also on YouTube and Twitter, and they're all there listed on the playlist of virtual wild encounters. Going on to our questions here, George, age 10, would like to know, where is he native to?
Hey, George, thanks for the question. So they're native to the southwest United States as well as northern Mexico. So they have a pretty wide range.
Let's challenge your knowledge here of all centipedes. Emma, age 9, what's the most dangerous kind?
Ooh, Emma, that's a good question. I think it would depend, because centipedes, depending on their size, on their lifestyle, can have a little bit more venom. So if they did bite you, it would hurt more. However, no centipedes have enough venom to actually do serious harm to a person. Of course, if you do have an allergy to their venom, it's something that you would want to see a doctor about just in case. But again, depending on the species of centipede, they can have bites that hurt a little bit more. I can't tell you off the top of my head which species has the most painful bite. It's not something I have tried to figure out by myself.
Zara does have a tricky question for you, Max.
Go for it.
Have centipedes from other parts of the world become a problematic invasive species in the United States?
So I currently do not know of any species that have become invasive here. But in general, centipedes are great for the environment because they help to aerate the soil, considering how much they like to dig. And they also eat other invertebrates that people would consider pests, stuff that can eat your garden or get in your house. So they're actually really helpful to have around.
We do have some friends asking for names and what they're looking at again. Let's try that introduction one more time for those just joining.
Sure. For those of you just joining us, how's it going? My name is Max, and I'm here with Gazapacho, the Tiger Centipede, who's currently taking a nap right there in the corner. Tiger centipedes are native to the southwestern United States as well as northern Mexico. Their name, Centipede, does say that they have 100 legs, but no centipedes actually have 100 legs. Some, not many, can have more than that. Oftentimes they will have less than 100 legs. All centipedes are also carnivorous, which means they like to eat protein or other invertebrates. And they do have venom, but not enough venom to actually do serious damage to a person. If a centipede was to bite you because they felt threatened by you, then it would feel kind of like getting stung by a bee.
Okay, and we're going to keep on going down here. Juan and Mateo back with another question. Do they live in groups or alone?
Thanks for the question, Juan and Mateo. They prefer to live by themselves, so mostly solitary. They will get together when they want to have some eggs, but at which point only the female or the mom will help the eggs to hatch.
And we have a few people here. Sophia, age 8, most recently asking, do centipedes shed their skin?
Oh, great question. Thank you, Sophia. So they don't shed their skin per se. They technically molt their exoskeleton. So when centipedes and other invertebrates are growing and they're getting bigger, their exoskeleton, which is called exoskeleton because it's a skeleton on the outside of their body, does not stretch like our skin does. So instead, they have to grow a whole new exoskeleton and they get rid of the old one. So what happens is they'll grow a new one underneath this and they will kind of pull their body out of the old one. Kind of like, say, when you outgrow a jacket when you're really young. When you put the jacket on and it's too tight, you will take that off and put on a larger and newer one.
Oh. And Lydia, age 6, wants to know, how do they smell?
That is a great question, Lydia. I've noticed a lot of people like to ask how these animals smell. And I'm realizing now that I don't do enough smelling of our animals. I can't say I know exactly how he smells. I don't like to put my nose too close to him because I don't want to scare him. I do have a big nose. But right now I would say that he smells kind of like the dirt in here. So whatever he's crawling through, he tends to smell like.
That's usually what I associate with reptiles, is that the sand and whatever's in their enclosure with them is what they really smell like versus them themselves. Okay. Someone is asking, they think maybe it was crickets, but Joy, age 10, does want to know, what is his favorite treat?
Thank you for the question, Joy. So Gazapacho's favorite treat is actually French fries with a little bit of mayonnaise. No, I'm kidding. He loves to eat crickets, and just crickets here at the zoo.
Your go-to is mayonnaise, not fries and ketchup?
It's very European.
Oh, goodness. Lucy, age 8, wants to know, how old is he, and do you happen to know his birthday?
Unfortunately, we don't know his birthday, so we try to make every day his birthday. And we don't know how old he is as well. Gazapacho actually came to us because he was confiscated from someone who illegally had him as a pet. So when he came to us, he was fully grown already. He's been at the zoo for about 2 years. So we estimate between 3 and 4 years, but not entirely sure, just because we don't know when he was born before he got here.
Okay, well, that's okay. We'll just have to create a little birthday for him. Brandy'd like to know, how do they defend themselves from a predator?
Ooh, great question, Brandy. So, number one, they prefer to run and hide if they can. Being animals that live on the ground, they love to go digging under the soil, so they will find somewhere underground or under some leaves or wood to hide. They also have, as you can tell, this is his pseudo-head, or actually his bottom, and that is his head right up there. And he has elongated legs on the back here that makes it look like this is actually his head. So that can confuse some predators if they're trying to sneak up on him into which direction his head is facing. But they also do have venom. So if they really chose to, they can use the pinchers they have right in the front of their head to bite and inject some venom, which can be very painful.
All right, and Nicole would like to know, how long do the babies actually stay with the mom after they hatch?
Not very long. As soon as they're able to move around on their own, then they will go off and do their own thing. Very independent.
Now,
the
guys,
mom is mostly there to make sure that the eggs don't get hurt by any other animals or infected by, say, fungus.
All right, and we are getting towards the end of our questions here. Lydia A6 wants to come back. She didn't really know how he smells, but maybe how does he smell?
How does he smell? Oh,
Yes.
that's a great question. So these, you can't really tell right now because you put them away. But a lot of centipedes do have special appendages right in the front of their head that they predominantly use to find their food. So they can sense different kinds of motion or vibrations, and they can also pick up different smells or scents as well. Centipedes, most don't actually have eyes, some do, and the ones that do have eyes don't see very well. So they rely on being able to smell and sensor vibrations with those antennae there, and these elongated legs in the back also can help sense different things.
And Grady H10, does it have more than one brain or heart?
It does not. So this pseudo head, it's just supposed to look like a head, but it doesn't actually operate like one. They have one head right up here.
And Juana Mateo's mommy would like to know, thank you for these videos. We miss our weekly trip to the zoo.
Yeah, we miss seeing you.
We do. All right. Brandy would like to know, is it an invertebrate?
It is an invertebrate, which means that they don't have a vertebrae, which is basically the bones that run down your back. So they're invertebrates, and they're also an arthropod, which applies to all different types of bugs, including arachnids, insects, crustaceans. And the word arthropod actually means jointed foot. Because their body is covered by an exoskeleton that acts like a suit of armor, they actually have different segments to make it easier for them to move around. Kind of like if you pictured a knight in armor, you notice that the armor is in different pieces so they can be able to move and defend themselves. If it was one big piece of metal, it would be almost impossible for them to move. Same thing with invertebrates.
So we do have a lot of comments here asking about their dangers to humans, and we've got a friend here talking about she lived in Hawaii and they were poisonous, so they actually killed them there. But why would it be worth maybe not killing them, and how can we stay safe if we do see one?
Yeah, great questions. I do understand a lot of people do have a big fear of centipedes because, yes, they are venomous, but they aren't venomous enough to actually do any real damage to a person. Instead, it would feel more like getting stung like a bee. But centipedes are actually great for the environment, especially if you have a garden, because they can help to aerate the soil by digging through it and eating other larvae in there. And they can also help with pest control.
And also, if you were to see one, like a snake or anything else that's kind of non-cuddly and very scary to people, could we just take a couple steps back and let him just burrow, and he'll just want to get right away from us, right?
Yeah, so centipedes really don't want to have anything to do with you, so as long as you give them space, then they will do the same for you.
And Emma H7 would like to know, are they smart?
Are they smart? That is a good question, and I would say it depends on what you mean by smart. Can they figure out how to get their food and how to protect themselves? Yes, very much so. Could they probably do a puzzle? No. Then again, I haven't tried.
All right, Max, we've still got a lot of those questions coming back up again, talking about how fast is our friend here and how long they can get. You want to go over some of those basics and one more last introduction to who we're looking at?
Yeah, so one last overview of tiger centipedes, also known as common desert centipedes. They live usually between 4 and 5 years, sometimes over 5 years. They can get up to 5 inches, sometimes a little bit longer than that. They are carnivorous and they are nocturnal, which means they like to eat protein, and they are really only active in the evening times as well. Gazapacho here, unfortunately, we do not know how old he is because he came to us already as an adult, nor do we know what his birthday is, but he is about 5 inches and he does have roughly 40 legs. All right, folks, I think that's going to do it for all of our questions. Thank you so much for joining us for another Facebook Wild Encounter here at the Memphis Zoo. I am your lovely host, Max, and it's been great having you folks come and visit us throughout the week. We'll be doing another program tomorrow at 12:30. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Wash your hands and stay safe out there. Take care, folks.